Well, hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here at the Sea Otter exhibit. If you're just joining us, my name is Anevay. I'm up on the second floor of the exhibit, and you are all here at the perfect time. In just a bit, we'll be joined by a few of my friends from the animal care team, and they're going to get started with this morning's feeding and training session. So as they join us inside the exhibit, we're going to get an inside look at some of the daily routine care that our otters are provided. The aquarium is home to 5 female southern sea otters, all of who have been deemed non-releasable by the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife. On exhibit today, we have 4 of those 5 resident otters: Ruby, Kit, Selka, and Ivy. In just a bit here, they're going to start off this session in the same way they always do, doing a behavior we call stationing. They'll position themselves at a certain point on that deck, and they'll be joined by the trainer that they'll be working with. Our trainers will be feeding our otters using a method called positive reinforcement. Those of you at home with pets might be familiar with this technique. They'll be asking our otters to do a certain behavior, and if the otter does the correct behavior, they're rewarded or positively reinforced with some of their favorite tasty foods. So the trainers will be equipped with a silver bucket full of our otters' tasty 3-course meal of shrimp, squid, and clam. And right on cue, here they come. So our trainers and otters will each be stationing at a certain part of the deck. And this is going to give me a chance to go ahead and introduce exactly who is on exhibit. Starting at the far right-hand side is Ivy. She is our blondest exhibit otter. Next to her, that is Ruby. Yes, Ruby is our youngest otter. In the middle is Selka. Selka is our most chocolatey brunette sea otter. And on the far right or left-hand side, that is Kit. Kit is our longest and largest resident otter. So as I mentioned, this is our first behavior that our trainers practice with our otters, stationing at a certain part of the deck. That way we know who will be partnered up for the rest of the training. So we'll see that our trainers practicing a few different kinds of behaviors with our otters during this feeding. We might see animal care behaviors, those that are more centered around husbandry and the otters' routine care with their caretakers. So for example, we see the crate or the net that's on exhibit with our otters. Since these are wild animals, some of the otter care tools and care they're provided, it's important that they're trained to be comfortable. So for example, our otter who was just asked to climb into the crate, she's going to be rewarded with some of her favorite tasty foods. That way, she has a positive association with the crate she's will be carried in. Same thing with the net that's on the far left-hand side. By building a positive association with the tools our otters are needed, that becomes less stressful for them during their routine care. This also ensures that both their caretakers and the otters are comfortable with that routine care. Some other examples of these animal care behaviors we might see would be our otters being asked to climb up on the deck. We might see them be asked to step onto their back hind legs, giving the trainers an opportunity to see their agility both inside and outside of the water. Also giving them an opportunity to inspect the otters closer, perhaps looking at their chest, paws, face, and whiskers, just to make sure that our otters are closely monitored and in their best health. We might also see what we call enrichment actions and behaviors that our otters practice. These keep our girls mentally and physically stimulated. They also can promote natural behaviors that our otters rely on to survive in the wild. You might have noticed that our otters have 3 scheduled feedings today, and that's for a good reason. That's not the only time of day our otters are fed. In the wild, an otter can eat up to 25% of its body weight in one day. In human perspectives, that's about the same as an adult eating 20 large pizzas all by themselves in one day. Not quite an eating challenge I'd be up for myself, though I do love pizza as much as the next person. An otter eats that much to maintain their body heat. You see, unlike other marine mammals, like a whale or a sea lion, who have a layer of fat called blubber to keep warm, sea otters do not. They rely on eating lots of food all throughout the day to keep themselves nice and warm. They also rely on that dense fur coat you see to help trap that body heat. The otters must maintain a vicious grooming cycle. Maintaining a healthy fur coat is important to keeping them warm and waterproof. You might see the otters after they're done eating, rolling around, scratching their face, or looking like they're giving themselves a nice full body scratch. That's that grooming in action. Insulating a layer of air into their fur helps keep them warm and waterproof. Some other examples of those enrichment activities we might see would be like our girls asking to pop up out of the water, or perhaps a retrieval behavior. Down on the first floor, you might see some toys on the bottom of the exhibit. Our otters can be challenged to retrieve one of those toys from the bottom, bring it up to the surface, presenting it to their trainer. This helps mimic a natural behavior of diving and foraging. Our sea otters eat invertebrates. These are animals without a backbone who typically have a hard shell to protect themselves. In their kelp forest habitats, believe it or not, these adorable faces are those of a vicious top predator. An otter acts as a habitat regulator, actually dubbing themselves the name of a keystone species in kelp forest habitats. This means they're such an important top predator of invertebrates like sea urchins or abalone who eat the kelp that forms the kelp forest they live in. By maintaining the population balance of those urchin grazers, our otters help maintain the balance of the entire kelp forest and have a significant impact on it. Not only are these otters important out to their habitats in the wild, but our otters here on exhibit have a few very important jobs as well. On exhibit, like we see them today, our sea otters act as ambassadors for their species, inspiring the conservation of their fragile species. You see, sea otters are listed as endangered, and part of that reason is because of their dense fur coats. See, during the fur trade, otters were nearly hunted to extinction, down to just 50 individuals found not too far from here, off the coast of Big Sur. From the small group of 50, thanks to local conservation and protection efforts from guests just like you who saw these adorable animals and decided that they needed protection. These sea otters have slowly recovered to nearly 3,000 individuals today. As I mentioned, they are still considered endangered. However, this is an amazing example of how we can work together to make recovery and conservation happen. Just by you being here and supporting these otters today, you support the work they do as ambassadors for their species. But behind the scenes, they have another very important job, directly contributing to that recovery. We have a one-of-a-kind sea otter surrogacy program here at the aquarium, where these otters can be paired with rescued pups, teaching them all those skills they practice here on exhibit that they need to survive in the wild. Eventually, these pups can be released back into the wild, directly contributing to the southern sea otter species recovery. So again, just by you being here and supporting this amazing work these girls do, you are also helping contribute to the recovery and conservation of these amazing animals. If you'd like to learn more about the Sea Otter program, I invite you to check out our auditorium program, Luna, a sea otter story, playing today in our auditorium at 2:30. This follows the story of an adorable otter pup named Luna and her journey through that surrogacy program. It does look like our animal care team is wrapped up with the feeding for this morning. If you'd like to chat more otters or have any questions, feel free to come and find me. Again, my name is Anevay up on the second floor of the exhibit. But if you'll be continuing on your adventure for today, I hope you all have a great rest of the day here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.